One I wasn't expecting my ego to get wrecked by a girl holding a paper bag and a lost wallet. It was 10 a.m. in Miami, sunlight bouncing off glass towers and the hood of my black Aston Martin. I was outside my penthouse building, sunglasses on, phone pressed to my ear, pretending to care about a board meeting I hadn't attended in 3 weeks. Then she appeared, small, serious, and too calm for this city. "Are you Lucas Hale?" she asked, her voice clear and annoyingly sure of itself. I glanced at her, smirk ready. "Depends who's asking. If you're with the IRS, he's dead." She didn't laugh. "You dropped this." She held up a sleek black wallet. Mine. Hale monogram right on it. For a second, I just looked at her. Plain white tee, light jeans, hair in a loose bun that looked unplanned but somehow worked. Not Miami glam. More ordinary. The kind of girl who didn't even know what Playboy Billionaire headline said about me. I took the wallet slowly. "You could have just returned it to the front desk." I tried. "They said Mr. Hale doesn't take random drop-offs." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "So I figured I'd bring it myself." There was something in her tone, moral backbone dipped in mild annoyance. "My favorite kind of challenge." "Appreciate the effort," I said, sliding it back into my pocket. "Should I tip you?" Her expression didn't even twitch. "No, but you should stop leaving it on cafe counters. Not everyone's honest." "Lucky me, then." She turned to leave. Most women tried to stretch a moment with me. This one couldn't get away fast enough. That's when my ego got itchy. "Wait, what's your name?" "Emma." "Emma what?" She kept walking. The honest one, I actually laughed. Loud enough that a valet looked over. Then I did something ridiculous. I followed her. She was crossing the street toward a corner bakery. I recognized it. Small, old brick, smelled like butter and cinnamon. She walked inside and tied on an apron. That explained the paper bag. I stepped in and the bell above the door jingled. She froze when she saw me. "You're stalking me now?" she said. Stalking is such a harsh word. Let's call it curiosity. I leaned on the counter. "You work here?" "Obviously, it seems humble." She shot me a look that could have curdled cream. Some people work for a living. Touché. I grinned. "Do they all look that good doing it?" "Coffee's $2.50, Mr. Hale." I pulled a 20 from my wallet. "Keep the change." She didn't take it. "We don't take tips from playboys who think money equals charm." That one stung. I couldn't help laughing again, mostly at myself. "You read the tabloids?" "No. I have a friend who cleans your hotel. She said you threw a pool party at noon on a Tuesday." "Ah, that one." In my defense, it was a boring Tuesday. "Right," she said, rolling her eyes and pouring coffee. "Your life sounds exhausting." It was supposed to be sarcasm, but something about the way she said it hit a little too close. I took the cup, sipped it, and for the first time in a while, didn't have a comeback. When I finally left, I looked back through the glass window. She was laughing with another customer, hair slipping out of that bun. For no reason I could name, my chest tightened. That should have been the end of it. But later that afternoon, I found myself calling my assistant. Find out who owns that bakery on 5th. The next morning, I walked in again. She groaned. "You have got to be kidding me." "I'm investing," I said casually, sliding onto a stool. "Wanted to see what I'd be buying." Her eyes went wide. "You're not serious." "I am. Great neighborhood, solid business. Plus the barista's attitude is unmatched." "Lucas, you can't just buy places because people annoy you. You'd be surprised what money can do." She leaned in, elbows on the counter. "You're missing the point. Not everything's for sale." The way she said it, like it was a moral lesson aimed at me specifically, made my stomach flip. I hated that feeling. That day she burned my toast and smiled while doing it. I left laughing again, which was becoming a dangerous pattern. By the end of the week, the bakery was technically under my investment group's umbrella. I didn't tell her. I just started showing up every morning like it was routine. She tried ignoring me. Didn't work. I was too loud, too sarcastic, too me. One morning, she finally snapped. "Why do you keep coming here?" "Because the coffee's burnt and I like the view." Her jaw tightened. "You're insufferable." "True. But you haven't banned me yet." She glared but didn't respond. That silence felt like a win. By now, the staff all knew me. Customers whispered, cameras sometimes flashed, But Emma treated me like I was a stubborn customer who needed scolding every other minute. It was refreshing. Then came the day that changed everything. I was upstairs in my penthouse, half-dressed for a meeting, when I heard the building intercom buzz. "Mr. Hale? There's a Miss Emma downstairs. Says she needs to speak with you urgently." My heart did an odd little leap. "Send her up." When the elevator doors opened, she stepped out, eyes blazing, holding a brown envelope. "You bought the bakery?" She snapped before I could say anything. I blinked. "Technically, my company did." "Don't play semantics with me, Lucas. You think throwing money at a place gives you control over people's lives?" I raised my hands. "Relax, it was a business move." "I didn't touch anything. You don't get it." She slammed the envelope onto my kitchen island. "You changed the supplier contracts. My manager's freaking out. She stopped mid-rant, eyes scanning my place. Modern glass walls, sunlight everywhere, a grand piano I couldn't play, champagne bottles on the counter. Her tone softened. "You live like this?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "Lonely, right?" She blinked, caught off guard. "That's not what I meant." "Sure it is." We stood there, sunlight pooling across marble floors. The silence stretched, awkward, tense, charged. Finally, I said, "Do you want coffee?" "I didn't come here to—" "Relax, I'm not that guy today." I gestured toward the balcony. "There's the best view of Miami out there. You might as well see what you're yelling at." Reluctantly, she followed me. The ocean shimmered beyond the skyline, heat dancing off rooftops. "It's beautiful," she admitted softly. "Yeah," I said. "Doesn't feel like much when you're the only one looking at it." She turned toward me, curiosity replacing anger. "You don't have anyone?" "Not the kind that stays." Something flickered in her eyes. Empathy, maybe, or just surprise that I could sound human. We talked about her college debt, my business chaos, her father's bakery back home, my mother's silence since my father's scandal. It was easy in a way that scared me. Then she stood abruptly. "I should go. Emma, I came to yell, not to— whatever this is." As she headed for the elevator, I followed. "You can yell more if you want," she half smiled, shaking her head. "You really don't get it." "Probably not." She pressed the button. The elevator doors opened and she stepped in. "Stay out of my bakery." Before I could answer, the doors closed. I stood there staring at my reflection in the glass, smiling, frustrated, intrigued, and for the first time in years, the idea of someone walking away actually bothered me. That night, my phone buzzed. A message from her manager. Emma was in an accident. "She's okay, but the bakery flooded." She refused to close it. My hand froze over the screen. Within minutes, I was in my car, engine roaring through Miami's humid afternoon. I didn't even think. When I reached the bakery, water was spilling out the door. Emma stood inside, soaked to the knees, trying to lift boxes. I ran in. "What the hell are you doing?" "Saving what's left." "Are you insane?" "The power's still on." "Then turn it off and help me." I stared at her, drenched and furious and beautiful in the daylight, and something in me broke clean open. I grabbed her arm. "Come upstairs. I've got space. You can stay until this is fixed." She hesitated, chest heaving. "And why would I trust you?" "Because I won't touch you," I said quietly. "I just don't want you to deal with this alone." Her eyes searched mine for a long second before she finally nodded. And as we walked out of that half-drowned bakery, sunlight glaring off the puddles, I realized I'd just invited trouble upstairs, and for the first time in my life, I didn't want to stop it. I didn't expect "I won't touch you" to sound like the hardest promise I'd ever act. 2, I didn't expect "I won't touch you" to sound like the hardest promise I'd ever make. The next morning, Emma was standing barefoot in my living room, hair still damp from a shower, wearing one of my shirts that looked like it was designed to ruin my concentration. The sunlight poured through the glass wall, catching in her hair, turning everything golden. She caught me staring. "You said you wouldn't touch me." I looked away fast. "Yeah, and I'm keeping that promise. I'm just appreciating the architectural balance of the shirt." She rolled her eyes. "You're impossible." "True, but at least I make breakfast." She blinked. "You cook?" I pressed buttons on an espresso machine. "Same thing." I held out a cup. "Peace offering." "You were mumbling about insurance in your sleep." Her brow furrowed. "I don't mumble. You do." Something about invoices and cosmic punishment. She tried not to smile, failed a little, and sipped. You shouldn't be helping me. You've done enough damage buying my bakery. Correction, I said, leaning on the counter. I saved it from closing. You mean you saved your ego? Maybe both. But I didn't flood the place. Her lips twitched. No, but you did change all the contracts and freak out my manager. I can fix that. You don't need to fix everything, Lucas. That stopped me. No one ever said that to me. Not seriously. Not like it mattered. She turned toward the window, sunlight washing over her face. You ever notice how quiet it is up here? I paid extra for that. Too quiet, she said softly. Feels lonely. Her words hit something raw. I covered it with a smirk. That's what the espresso machine's for. But all day I couldn't shake that word, lonely. She stayed another night. And another. At first it was logistics. Her apartment's power was out too, insurance was dragging its feet, and I told myself I was just being a decent landlord of humanity. But then it became a rhythm I didn't want to end. We had breakfast on the balcony. She'd read emails while I took calls, both pretending not to listen to the other. Sometimes she'd hum, quiet, distracted, and I'd forget what meeting I was supposed to attend. She wasn't like anyone I knew. No filters, no games. She didn't care about my money or my penthouse or my name. She once asked, "Do you even like what you do?" I had no answer, and that silence said more than any charm line ever could. But forced proximity has its own gravity. The more you fight it, the closer it pulls you. By day 4, we were arguing over where to put her groceries. You can't just fill my fridge with real food, I complained. There's an ecosystem of champagne in there. You're 27, not 17, she said, stacking vegetables. You need vitamins. I get mine from lime wedges in cocktails. Try a carrot instead. I stared at her, mock horror in my eyes. You're evil, she grinned. Healthy. That grin hit like a punch. I turned away before she noticed. Later I found her at the piano, fingers brushing the keys like she was testing sound itself. You play? I asked, a little. Play something. She hesitated. Only if you promise not to flirt during it. I raised a hand. Scout's honor. She played softly. Some old tune I didn't know. The notes drifted through the sunlit room, slow and aching. For once, I shut up. When she finished, I just said, That was unfair, she laughed. Why? Because now I have to pretend I don't feel anything. The smile vanished. She looked at me for a long second, searching. Then she stood. Lucas, I said I wouldn't touch you, I interrupted. Doesn't mean I don't want to. Her breath caught. You're doing it again. What? Making everything sound like a game. It's not a game. She folded her arms. Then what is it? I didn't have the courage to say you're the only thing that feels real in my entire stupid life. So instead I said, it's confusing. That night I couldn't sleep. Her laughter kept echoing in my head like a melody I couldn't shake. The next morning she was gone. Panic hit before reason. Then I found a note on the counter, at the bakery. Don't follow. Naturally I followed. The cleanup crew was there, mops and tools everywhere. Emma was in jeans, sleeves rolled up, hair tied back. She was directing people like a general in a war zone. I stood by the door, watching. She looked alive, fierce, determined. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. When she spotted me, her expression hardened. Didn't you read the note? Notes are suggestions. Lucas, go home. I am home. You forgot I technically own this place, she glared. Not helping. I brought food. I lifted the takeout bag. See? Not sabotage this time. She sighed, but a faint smile cracked through. You're ridiculous. We ate on the curb outside, surrounded by the smell of damp plaster and sugar. She talked about rebuilding. I mostly listened, realizing she didn't need saving. She needed someone who believed she could save herself. When she wasn't looking, I called my contractors. Quietly told them to prioritize her space. Didn't tell her. Just wanted her to win. Days passed like that. Long, sun-soaked days full of dust and laughter and near misses. Every time she brushed past me, my pulse betrayed me. Then one afternoon, I came back from a meeting to find her on my balcony pacing. You told them to fix the bakery early, she said flatly. I froze. Who told you? My manager. You paid triple for rush work. Okay, so you're welcome? Her eyes flashed. You don't get it, do you? You keep deciding things for me. I didn't ask for your money or your help. I was trying to make things easier. For who? You? So you can feel like the hero instead of the guy who causes chaos? That one cut deep. I stepped closer. You think that's what this is? I think you don't know what it is, she said quietly. You're addicted to control. And you hide behind charm because you're scared of being rejected when you actually care. I stared at her, stunned. Nobody had ever said that out loud. You don't know me, I said. Voice low. Maybe not, she replied, eyes softening. But I see you. She turned to leave, but I caught her wrist, then immediately let go. Emma, she looked at me, eyes bright but sad. Don't, please, just don't. Then she was gone again, elevator doors closing like a final word. That night, the penthouse felt colder than it ever had. I wandered from room to room, every echo a reminder of her laughter. I poured a drink, stared at my reflection in the glass wall. For the first time in years, I didn't like the man staring back. I told myself to move on, that I'd known her a week, that I didn't do attachments, that this was temporary, but lies have a way of rotting from the inside. The next morning, I found her bakery reopened. Fresh paint, bright sunlight, and Emma behind the counter like nothing had happened. She saw me and sighed. Customers only. So you're not pressing charges for unsolicited generosity? She shook her head, faint amusement flickering. Just don't hover. I can't promise that. Then at least buy something. I did. Coffee, burnt as ever. It tasted perfect. For a few minutes, we talked like normal people. No fights, no tension. Just two people in daylight pretending the world was simple. Then the door opened, and a journalist walked in, camera ready, voice loud. Lucas Hale, Miami's infamous bachelor turned good Samaritan. Mind if we grab a quote about your new girlfriend? Emma froze. What? Before I could answer, the camera flashed. Perfect. We'll call it From Parties to Pastries, the Billionaire's New Muse. She stepped back, face pale. Is this what this was? Publicity? Emma, no, save it, she snapped. I told you I didn't want attention. The journalist kept talking, but I only saw her walking away again, hurt, angry, betrayed. I grabbed the man's camera, deleted the shots, and handed it back. If that runs, your career ends faster than your battery life. He left muttering, but the damage was done. When I turned, Emma was gone. Back at my car, my phone buzzed. A message from her. Don't come back. Please. I stared at it until the screen went dark. For once, I didn't chase. For once, I let her go because she deserved peace. Not a headline. And yet that night, I couldn't breathe knowing she thought I'd used her. The balcony view mocked me, beautiful, distant, unreachable. Just like her. I whispered into the quiet. You came to return a lost wallet. Now I'm the one who's lost. The city lights blurred below me, and I knew I'd either fix this or finally become the man she thought I was trying not to be. The moment you realize you've finally ruined the one thing that made you feel human, it's quiet. That's the worst part. Not loud, not cinematic, just empty. 2 weeks had passed since Emma walked out of my life. Miami's sun still blazed, traffic still screamed below my penthouse, but none of it felt real anymore. My phone was full of messages from journalists, investors, and women I didn't remember meeting. Not one from her. I deleted them all. For days, I tried to bury myself in work, which was ironic considering I hadn't touched a real deal in months. I hosted a charity gala, smiled for cameras, gave interviews I didn't mean. Everyone wanted to know about the baker girl who reformed the Playboy. It should have been flattering. It made me sick. I'd promised not to touch her. I never did. But I'd still managed to hurt her. Then came the final hit, an article titled The Billionaire's Charity Romance Hoax. According to them, Emma had played along for publicity. They quoted sources who said she used me for fame. I knew instantly it wasn't true. Emma didn't even use Wi-Fi half the time, but the damage was there, in my name, and worse, in hers. That night, I drove to the bakery. The sun was bleeding gold across the city, kids running down sidewalks, music spilling from open cafes. Life was happening everywhere but inside me. When I reached her place, the sign read, "Closed for renovation." The windows were papered over. Where's Emma? I asked the guy next door. She left last week. Said she's going back home for a while. Georgia, I think. Georgia. It shouldn't have surprised me. Miami was my kingdom of noise. She belonged somewhere quieter, steadier. Somewhere sunlight meant peace instead of exposure. Still, I couldn't let her leave thinking I'd used her. The next morning, I was on a plane to Savannah. No press, no assistance. Just me, a rental car, and a half-formed plan. Her hometown wasn't what I expected. No skyscrapers, no sports cars, just wide streets, oak trees dripping with Spanish moss, and a bakery that smelled like home. Emma's Crumb & Co. Her name was on the sign now, bold and unashamed. She was inside, flour dusted on her cheeks, hair tied up again. Seeing her felt like breathing after weeks underwater. She saw me and her shoulders tensed. "Lucas, what are you doing here?" "Buying coffee. Maybe forgiveness if that's still on the menu." Her eyes flicked toward the door. "You shouldn't be here." "The last thing I need is more headlines." "I killed those," I said quickly. Called every outlet. Paid off what I couldn't reason with. "You're off the radar," she folded her arms. "So you fixed it. Again." "Not for me," I said. "For you," she shook her head. "You don't have to play the hero anymore." "I'm not playing. I just finally figured out what I actually want." "Lucas." I stepped closer, keeping my voice low. "When you walked into my life, I was noise pretending to be music. You made me hear the silence, and it terrified me. But now I think maybe I needed it." She looked away, jaw tight. "You lied, Lucas. You said you wouldn't touch my life, and then you did." "Every part of it, I know. I tried to buy my way into being someone better. Turns out you can't invest in redemption." The bakery went quiet. Only the soft hum of the fridge filled the space. Finally, she sighed. "Why did you come here?" "Because I didn't want the last thing you remember of me to be a tabloid headline." I hesitated. "And because I can't stop thinking about that day you brought me my wallet," she frowned. "That's what started all this chaos." "Exactly. You walked up to a stranger who lost something and gave it back. You didn't ask for anything in return. You just did it because it was right." I paused, searching her eyes. "And I keep wondering if maybe you didn't just return my wallet. Maybe you handed me something I lost a long time ago." Her expression softened. "What's that?" "Faith in people." Silence again, thicker this time, but not hostile. "Just full." She brushed flour off her hands. "You really flew all the way here to tell me that?" "Yeah, that's incredibly dumb." "Accurate." For the first time in weeks, she smiled. A real one, small and reluctant, but alive. I took a breath. "Let me help you reopen. No contracts, no ownership, no strings. Just hands, flour, and bad coffee." Her brow arched. "You'd work for me?" "Call it community service." After a long pause, she nodded. "Fine, one day." "Then you disappear." "One day," I agreed. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the front windows as we opened early for the locals. She handled the counter. I handled the disaster of mixing batter. She laughed every time I dropped something. I hadn't heard that sound in too long. Mid-morning rush came fast. The place was alive, kids giggling, bells chiming, the smell of butter and sugar everywhere. She belonged here completely. Watching her made something ache deep in my chest, but in a good way, the kind of ache that feels like you're finally waking up. Around noon, her father showed up. Gray hair, strong shoulders, eyes that instantly scanned me like a threat. "So you're the one who turned my daughter's life upside down," he said. "Guilty," I admitted. He crossed his arms. "And now you're serving coffee?" "Trying to earn a second chance," I said. He studied me a moment longer, then gave a small nod. "Good luck. She doesn't hand those out easy." As he left, Emma chuckled under her breath. "He likes you." That was liking? For him, yes. By afternoon, we were both exhausted. She leaned against the counter, hair falling loose again. "You're not terrible at this." "I'm a man of many surprises. Like showing up across state lines uninvited." "That's one of my worst habits," she smiled faintly. "You don't give up easily." "Not when it matters," she hesitated. "You think this matters?" I stepped closer, careful, slow. "I think you matter. And for once I want something money can't buy." Her eyes lifted to mine, hesitant, uncertain. "You said you wouldn't touch me." "I still won't," I said softly. "Not unless you ask." The air between us went still. Then she reached out, just barely brushing her fingers against mine. "You're impossible." "I've been called worse." The bell over the door rang, breaking the spell. A delivery guy dropped off a box, joked about us looking like a Hallmark movie, and left again. Emma blushed. I laughed quietly. By sunset, the bakery was empty. We cleaned up in silence, both pretending it wasn't our last hour together. When I walked to the door, she said, "Lucas?" I turned. "Do you really mean it? That you'd let me go if I wanted?" "Yeah," I said. "But if you do, just know I'll probably spend every day trying to be the man you thought I could be." She bit her lip, thinking, "You don't need to chase me anymore." "I know." She stepped closer. "Because maybe I'm done running." And then, finally, she kissed me. It wasn't the hungry, cinematic kind. It was soft, hesitant, full of daylight and forgiveness. When she pulled away, her eyes were bright. "You kept your promise." "Barely." We both laughed. Over the next weeks, I stayed in Savannah, not as a billionaire investor, not as the Miami Playboy, just as a man trying to learn how to start over. We rebuilt the bakery's website, hosted charity bake sales, burned countless muffins. She taught me how to make dough. I taught her how to negotiate suppliers without getting fleeced. One morning, I found her wallet on the counter, a little leather one, frayed at the edges. Inside was a note. "For when you forget what you've found." Below it, my old business card, the one she'd used to return my lost wallet months ago. She smiled when she saw me holding it. "Full circle, huh?" "Almost," I said. "Except this time, you're the one saving me." She leaned on the counter, grinning. "You don't need saving anymore, Lucas." "Maybe not. But I still like the view." She rolled her eyes. "Still impossible. Still honest." We opened the doors together that day. Sunlight spilled across the floor, catching her face just right. The bell jingled, the smell of bread filled the air, and for the first time in a long, chaotic life, everything felt exactly where it was supposed to be. As I poured 2 coffees, burnt, just the way she made them, I smiled and said, "Funny thing, you came to return a lost wallet." She looked up, eyes curious. "Yeah?" And I ended up finding everything else I didn't even know I'd lost.